Our teacher is Kathryn. The New Translation, page 573.
And if you don't have the New Translation, it's page 415 in the Quran. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. When God's servant advocated him alone, almost all of them banded together to oppose him. Say, I worship only my Lord. I never set up any idols besides him. Say, I possess no power to harm you nor to guide you. Say, no one can protect me from God, nor can I find any other refuge beside him. I am here to deliver proclamations from God as well as his messages. Those who disobey God and his messenger incur the fire of hell, wherein they abide forever. Once they see what is awaiting them, they will find out who is really weaker in power and fewer in number. Say, I do not know if what is promised to you will happen soon, or if my Lord will delay it for a while. He is the knower of the future. He does not reveal the future to anyone. Only to a messenger that he chooses does he reveal from the past and from the future specific news. This is to ascertain that they have delivered their Lord's messages. He is fully aware of what they have. He has counted the numbers of all things. Verse 19. When God's servant advocated him alone, almost all of them banded together to oppose him. All of God's servants have said the same thing and say the same thing. Worship God alone. They never ask that people worship them, follow them, do as they do, act as they do, speak as they do. They only say, worship God alone, no other idols beside him. Why people become uncomfortable with the message is, we know the reason, but it's still a puzzle when we run into people who seem uncomfortable with that statement. We all have family and old friends and colleagues who are surprised by us when we state that message and state that that's what we believe. There are verses in the Quran, and one in particular, which says that when God alone is advocated, the hearts of the disbelievers shrink in aversion. And you can watch that happen. It's as though people shrink. They become smaller almost in a very real sense. And it's their ego that gets in the way. It's fear. Something so simple as God alone is so frightening to so many people who believe that they have to have control, and they have to understand, and they have to know, and they have to be the one who calls the shots. In addition to that, if someone like themselves is saying this message, it's an excuse and an easy way to avoid the message for many people. Again, the ego takes over and will say, why this person? I'm no different than this person, or that person is no better than me. I don't have to listen to them. And so the message is rejected. We're fortunate enough, and I mean very fortunate enough, speaking for myself, I have no idea why I was chosen to be here in Tucson. I know how I came. I can relate that story to you. But there are many of us who have the same story to tell. I don't know why. I am very fortunate to be here, where this perpetual miracle continues to unravel before our eyes. Rashad Tutba, he said the other day that God has thickened our skin over the last 10 years, and we don't faint or lose consciousness every time something like this incredible numbers on the wall or the things that Abdullah explained today or explained to us. We just sit here and we nod our heads, and some of us get teary, but we stay conscious and we say, oh, this is just more of the same. And I went home my own self today saying, it seems that no matter what we do with the numbers, they're always going to be a multiple of 19, and that the complexity of this code is so great that it can never be understood by us. And that's why it's given in piece after piece after piece. And so many of us, how fortunate, are able to be part of discovering another part of the prism of this code. The message is worship God alone. It's so loud at this point that it's almost hard to pay attention to those people who don't want to listen to the most elementary statement. worshiping God alone. The servants of God carry the message, I worship only my Lord, I never set up any idols beside him. They also always say, I am a human being like you, do not worship me. And they point out their humanness. I possess no power to harm you nor to guide you. No one can protect me from God, nor can I find any other refuge besides them. I am a human like you. I make no superhuman claims. I have no magic. Because, however, the servants of God have been given special information and special proof, they're more vulnerable and their responsibility is even greater than for those of us who have not had that opportunity or have not been chosen. And also the servants of God, and Rashad is a wonderful example, but so are the others in the Quran, are also less vulnerable because God protects these people. And we've seen that all the way through the Quran. Moses, Jesus, all of them, Elias, Jonah, they've all been protected by God as long as they carried the one message and never claimed to be anything more than a messenger. So the humanness is constantly before people, and still they shrink, and still they say to the messenger, whether it was Noah, Moses, Rashad, or me, or you, who are you? You're a human being. You don't bring anything special, and I don't see any miracle. Well, it's a sorting process that God has, and it's always in place, and the pattern never changes. Verse 23, I'm here to deliver proclamations from God as well as his messages. Those who disobey God and his messenger incur the fire of hell wherein they abide forever. The only unforgivable sin is idol worship. The only. God is so clear that we have so many chances. As long as we live, we have chances to repent and to come back to God and get on God's path. If we worship anything other than God, anyone other than God, God never will forgive this. This verse is not a threat by a human being, by a messenger. This is from God Almighty saying all the way through the Quran, whether it is a quote out of a messenger's mouth in a verse or whether it is a description in the narrative. Hell is where the idol worshiper will go. Once they see what is awaiting them, they will find out who's really weaker in power and fewer in number. It's too late. Once you see it, it's too late. If an angel was sent down with all of this wonderful stuff that we don't lose consciousness over every week, we wouldn't have needed any of it. It's too late once you know. Rashad was talking about the fact the other day that people know at the time of their death where they're going. And it's too late for people to say, let me go back, let me have a second chance. I understand now what I'm supposed to do. No, because God knows that once we're put back here, we'll revert to the same thing, with the same forgetful mind that we came here with in the first place. And the phrase, who is really weaker in power and fewer in number, we know that it is the minority of the minority of the minority. I mean, it's as long a tunnel into the few that will make it into heaven as it is into this code itself. It seems to be a mirror image. Those few people that do make it even to purgatory, I mean, that's, if you're hanging on by your toenails in purgatory, you've made it. Those few people are really the stronger and really the mightier in number, no matter how else it appears when you count in the real world. 25, I do not know if what is promised to you will happen soon or my Lord will delay it for a while. He's the knower of the future, does not reveal the future to anyone. Again, pointing to the fact that all messengers are human beings. They are not God. Only God knows the past, the future. We read history books and think that we have history. We think we understand what happened. And I'm willing to bet anything, almost, that in the hereafter, when we discover what history really was in that whatever particular era that we think we know so much about, all the little details that we didn't have access to, it's going to be vastly different and much the same at the same time. When I was reading this over this past week, I wrote that the human being does not have any idea what he wants. The human being doesn't know the future. Jesus didn't know the future. Jesus doesn't know this is happening now. We know more than Noah, Jesus, Moses, and all of those that have gone before us. Sitting in this room, we know more. We have all the pieces, I think, unless next week there's more numbers. I mean, we have so much more. How much greater is our responsibility, and how much more blessed not to have to search. I mean, this is irrefutable proof, touchable, examinable, verifiable. We have all the miracles that have gone before, those that came after Noah. We know about. Noah doesn't. We know about those that came after Moses. No, Moses doesn't. The human being doesn't know what he thinks he knows. What he makes up for his own security is made up. And to predict the future is foolish. It's absolutely foolish. Only to the messenger that he chooses does he reveal from the past and the future specific news. Other examples, besides Rashad's own experiences, Joseph knew about the future. It was revealed to him that his father and mother and brothers would bow down to him later in life, and he knew that even after his experience in the well and in prison. Moses' mother was given information about him being saved and what would become of him. Those are tests, those are provisions for God's very special messengers. They remove the doubts of those chosen by God who are going to be delivering the message and facing incredible odds, and provide for insight for the believers when they are doubting themselves and they have this information put at their disposal. When Joseph announced to the people, I knew this was going to happen. You were going to be here. You were going to be bowing down before me. There had to be more than just, oh, thank God he's not going to kill us, in their minds. These people had to have understood that God chose Joseph and that this was all part of a plan and there was a reason for it. God tells us in 28, the reason he gives specific news and specific information is to ascertain, to make sure that the messengers have delivered their Lord's messengers, that they've done it correctly. He's fully aware of what he has given them to deliver, and he has counted the numbers of all things. It's already done. Counted the numbers of all things always makes me think of the khutbah that Abdullah gave when he was talking about the trees and the leaves and the numbers of the leaves on the trees. And he got, at least for me, I got very involved in counting the leaves of the one tree that he was describing. And when he got all done with that, it took him a very long time. He moved on to just one other tree. And it was awesome at that point to even contemplate counting those. Never mind all of the words that we speak, the things we see with our ears, see with our eyes, excuse me, and those things are all designed ahead of time. We think we are choosing the words we're saying, but we're not. It's part of a design for our life, tests and provisions for all of us. The messenger has the greatest responsibility of all of us due to the large quantity of proof provided to him or her. And that can be awesome and frightening, unless, of course, the messenger knows that he's fully supported by Allah alone, in which case this is the thrill of a lifetime. I can't imagine what that must be like. I wanted to share with you before I stopped in this section, talking about messengers and God's servants. I overheard someone say, and trying to make a joke recently, that their favorite saying was that God so loved the world, he sent his only son. He didn't send a committee. And I remember, as I walked by, I remember just kind of shuddering, thinking, oh, yes, he did send a committee, a large committee of messengers and servants, with many more to come, more that aren't even in this divine book. And I thought I would share that with you because there are many people who think that there's no committee out here. There's such a large committee. The committee of angels alone is amazing. And they're part of what brings us our message. Are there any comments, questions? I hope. These pages are from the New Translation. Not all of us have them. There weren't enough copies to go around. This is the book that you're using is the most recent. This one is going to be published very soon, and it's going to be the first time that the correct Quran has been in human hands in 1400 years. So we're opting to use the few pages until the book comes out. You might want to share with someone. No, absolutely not. It says the same thing. It says worship God alone.
It's a long story. But it comes through as we explain these verses. Why are we here? Why are we here? Who wants to know why we are here? Yay! Are you smart because it's your birthday, or you're just like that? We are here mainly because we committed a crime when we were in the heavenly society. We sided with Satan. Satan wants to be a God besides God, and we did not oppose that. We did not make a good, firm stand with God, absolute authority. So that's why we are here to redeem ourselves and to change our mind and denounce that stand by going back to upholding God's absolute authority, by knowing that nobody has any power to do anything except God. This is God's absolute authority. People who think that Muhammad or Jesus or Mary or the saints can do anything are in the same trap. They're committing the same crime, and they will go on all the way to hell. They can be redeemed only if they change that and worship God alone, like Amir said. This means worship God alone means knowing that God only has power to do anything. You must know that God is the one who hires and fires. God is the only one who decides how many dollars are in your pocket. You must know that. You think that your boss is the one who hired you, or may fire you, or provides for you, then you're in the same trap. So that's what we're here for. I want to go to the verse that says, once they see that's 24, once they see what is awaiting them, they will find out who is really weaker in power and fewer in numbers. Because out of all of Tucson, 500,000 people, only about 50 people come here to this mosque to worship God alone. So in this city, we appear to be 50 among 500,000 people. There may be 50 more out there who worship God alone under the name of Christianity or Judaism or nothing. But they do believe that God alone possesses all power. So that's 100 out of 500,000. This appears to be a minority. But you see, you're walking around with your body that is visible. They say, this is Kathy Robinson. But they don't see what she really looks like, what size she is. We learn from verse Surah 17 that the differences of the hereafter are far greater than here. The difference between Bima and Gatut is 4 feet. But in the hereafter, the differences are far more greater. Surah 17. So your real size is as big as the city of Phoenix, for example. If you're walking around, you see this size. Their size, the people who are not worshiping God alone, they actually shrink. The soul actually shrinks to the size of a cat. So there are 100 people whose size is as big as the city of Phoenix, each one of them, and 500,000 sized ants. Now, who is really weaker? Who is really weaker in power and fewer in number? one man and a million ants. Which one is really stronger? Where is the majority? Is it the one person or the million ants? When you walk out the mosque, you can see 1 million ants sometimes. Did you see them today? So, where is the majority? This is what this means, because once they see what is awaiting them, because right now they cannot see. We do not see ourselves. We only see our bodies. Death. Thereafter, everything becomes obvious. You're walking around, you're a hidden queen. You're walking around, people don't know what your size is, who you really are. Which is a lot of fun, because you don't need Secret Service or guards or anything. You can walk in the market and buy your apples and meat, eggs. Yes, we have secret service, yes. That's the best secret service. You do have secret service.
Could the phrase fear of the never also apply to the fact that in the day of judgment, all of these people who think that they have power and numbers are going to realize that the entire creation submits to God. Every atom, all of the angels, everything is submission to God. And they're going to realize how outnumbered they are. And they see the atoms, and they see. And they won't be able to even perceive the magnitude of the entire creation submitting to God.
Also in terms of, because they think in terms of believers and unbelievers, and how many unbelievers there are and how many believers there are. They count numbers. But even in those terms, when you have a huge entity and a small entity, the huge entity is the majority. The one person and 1 million ants, to me the one person is a majority. Majority is the one.
This also did with position to 74 and 38 because the Lord says, I will put them in hell and over it I will punish them and over it 19 and 19. For unbelievers it's a very small number. That is not. They may ridicule or this number.
Except 19 is not the angels of hell, as they think.
But
19 is not the angels of hell, as they think.
the angels of hell, there are angels of hell. Also, the number
I don't know, it seems like there's only one angel in charge of hell. His name is Malik. Yes. His name is mentioned in the Quran, Malik.
maybe head of them.
How would you get that? Now don't speculate.
There are some angels. Quran, there are
More than 3?
because,
Where?
they say,
Yes.
word used for angels. That
Who?
they will talk with the unbelievers.
No, it's not. Where? And there's only one angel, as far as the guarding hell is concerned, only one angel, and his name is Malik. Now, Qalu is where? ألم يأتكم نذير؟ قال لهم خزنته ألم يأتكم نذير؟ Surah 67. No, خزنته is plural. Gods of hell, plural. This is still a mysterious. God hasn't revealed yet exactly the details of what is the system. Because كلما ألقي فيها فوج سألهم خزنتها ألم يأتكم نذير. Now, are these angels outside of hell? Or inside, the one who's taking care of hell is Malik or what? Because they would say, oh Malik, let your Lord finish us off. You would say, you're living forever. Yes. No, but you see, here it's not connected with hell. At the end of the verse, it says, nobody knows. You're right. Nobody knows what the number is. But that's not. This is a general statement. Also, at the beginning, it says, وَمَا جَعَلْنَا أَصْحَابَ النَّارِ إِلَّا مَلَائِكَةً. What is أصحاب النار? Malaika, angels. Who are أصحاب النار? What does أصحاب النار mean? Companions of hell, the gods of hell, the owners of hell, friends of hell. We don't know what the expression is. It's still mysterious because there is a timing for everything. And obviously God doesn't want us at this time to know exactly what the arrangement is in hell.
The point is 19 angels for hell, and those who use their number is a miracle because
that's possible, but that's not what the Quran says. Huh?
For the first time, when you read first time, you cannot understand this.
You cannot, no, but you see, you have to. We know now. See those numbers in the Quran. We know that every letter in the Quran is accurately placed. Now, it does not say that the guards of hell are 19. It gives a general statement.
Their number mentioned the whole, the number.
That's the number that is alayha. The number that is on it.
Yes,
On what?
On Safar.
Right.
Safar is a punishment.
Right.
Yes.
Is it hell? You don't know. Is it could be here?
But Ashab al-Nar,
The next verse.
It explains it will be hell now.
No, it doesn't. There's no connection at all. It gives us a certain statement. He said, we made, I don't know the Arabic expression, Ashab al-Nar, the companions of hell, angels. So it's a general statement. It does not say the 19 angels. It does not say that. عليهم 19 will say only for 19. It doesn't say 19 what?
Edward can understand that their number. We translate to English. We appointed on the angels, hell, and their number, angel number,
Yeah.
will be a test for a believer and will increase.
But then at the end it says nobody knows what this number is.
Nobody knows the soldiers of God.
Yeah.
It doesn't say number of the soldiers. Soldiers of God, their force, their quality,
Well, maybe God wants you to believe that there are 19 gods of hell at this time, which is perfectly alright. That's what. Obviously, it's not relevant to proof.
I would like you to comment on James, angels of hell.
Yeah, this is a hadith that says when you die, two angels will ask you, who was your God and who was your prophet and what did you do? And then they beat you, so you go to the seventh earth. Then a big snake will swallow you. It's a hadith. Yes, in the grave. And they have all kinds of stories. Are there any questions? Any other questions? There is, though. Abdullah. Yes. Your translation is counted the numbers of all things. Everything is based on mathematics.
Also, Ayah 27, only to a messenger that he chooses, opposed to in the book, only the messengers
Both are correct. Simple. It was more general in the last translation, but in the new translation it is more specific. Because this Surah 72, that gives us a lot more proof that this Surah specifically is for the message for our age. So this
Last translation is accurate, mostly accurate. In Rasul, yes, it can be understood as plural, but here, not min Rasul, not plural form. But can be understood this way, but the continuation, فَإِنَّهُ يَسْلُكُ مِنْ بَيْنِ يَدَيْهِ, here is yes, singular, not مِنْ بَيْنِ يَدَيْهِ.
But the both are correct. Both translations are correct.
That's what
Speaking of numbers, I just want to pass on a thought to you, because we think that we're on the advanced earth and everything, and how the world is so technologically advanced and everything. But up until now, only less than 7% of the people have come to this world, from Adam until now. From now to the end of the world, there's still more than 93% of the people. So the earth is still an infant, and we are among the early generations. To the people 200 years from now, we're going to be in the cave age, cave people. So just think about the message. We are very early in human history. The message is being consolidated and will be delivered to the vast majority of the people. All this past and the nonsense that happened in Christianity, the Trinity and Jesus, Son of God, and all this nonsense, and the things that happened in Judaism, and Rabbi Kushner and what he said, and the nonsense that's happening in Islam, all these things are happening within a very brief period of time, relatively, and involves a very small number of people. But the new generations are enlightened, they are rebellious, they don't listen to their parents, they are free to think, and they will get the message supported by physical evidence, as you see, and Satan will be really defeated. Satan is destined to be defeated. So this message with the physical proof that you see on the wall over there, on the wall you see every single verse in the Quran, physical evidence. And this will be presented to more than 93% of the people of the world. Think about that. A lot of people say, they think all this nonsense involves a lot of people. I'm sorry, I missed that. God made a point in the gospel that when Jesus was asked when is the end of the world, he said, I don't know. And I quote this in one of the brochures. And when Muhammad was asked, this is also in the Quran, when is the end of the world, he said, I don't know. But God wanted us to know in this generation. So I will have an appendix. What? End of the world. Appendix. One of the appendices is entitled End of the World. Gives in it the evidence as to when the world will end. We know that the world will end in 2280, and with the mathematical code. And this is one of the things that God gave us, didn't give to the previous generations. Yes. Say, I do not know if what is promised to you will happen soon, or if my Lord will delay it for a while. This is to tell the disbelievers that they're going to be punished. They don't know when. It's for the disbelievers. No. It's going to be here. This is for here.
This is addressed to Muhammad. Say, I don't know.
Nothing in this surah is for Muhammad. You should know that.
But إن أدري قريب ما توعدون أم يجعل له ربي أمدا.
Yes.
This verse implies that that person who addressed by this verse will not know the time.
It's nothing to do with the end of the world. It has to do with here. It has to do with this world. There is nothing in this surah that applies to Muhammad. If you look at the footnote here, you add the grammatical value of Rashad plus the grammatical value of Khalifa plus the surah number plus the verses 28 of them, you have a multiple of 19. And also this surah has the maximum number of Rashad in 4 of them. And this is not my personal opinion. If it is my personal opinion, I'd be wrong. But it is not my personal opinion.
لأن يقول الرسول this phrase.
So why do you say this is Muhammad? You're the one who discovered that. إذا أنا افترض الرسول.
Yes, I know.
See, only to a messenger that he chooses in Arabic it's إلا من افترض الرسول. If you calculate the grammatical value of this phrase, it's 1919. And Edik Yuxel is the one who discovered that. And there is a whole bunch of mathematical proof that is. I'm afraid to be embarrassed because I'm afraid to be embarrassed. I've been through an experience with it. So I can't afford to be embarrassed or ashamed or shy or modest. It's not modesty if you're a civil engineer to say I'm a civil engineer. It is not arrogance when you're stating the truth. But this whole surah, nothing in it has anything to do with the Prophet Muhammad. There are many other places, but not this surah. The mathematical evidence is overwhelming. You see it in the appendices and footnotes of the New Translation. And when I tell you this, I'm either a very, very bad person or I'm really the messenger of God. Because nobody will fabricate lies against God, attribute them to God in this flagrant manner unless he's really, really a disbeliever who doesn't think he will face God one day in the day of judgment. So, take your pick. There are only two extremes here. Either a very bad person who claims to be receiving information from God or a true messenger of God. And we can judge by our circumstances. So God gave us the mind to distinguish. Are there any questions on this that are not so embarrassing? Go ahead.
What you said, if somebody doesn't know the Prophet, even the fact that this was God was saying that how somebody would sit there.
Well, that person will not know anything. It's a prerequisite that the person knows what the mathematical code is. The person who doesn't know the code will not understand anything. It will be like a person who was born 100 years ago. So the mathematical code is a requirement to understand a lot of things.
Why God would say Muhammad?
No, it doesn't tell Muhammad. So lots of codes are not for Muhammad. Lots of codes are for you. قل هو الله أحد is not for Muhammad, it's for you. قل أعوذ برب الناس is not for Muhammad, it's for you. In fact, the vast majority of qul is not for Muhammad. A lot of quls in the Quran are for the Quran itself. Don't claim. قل إن كنتم تحبون الله فاتبعوني يحببكم الله. Say, if you love God, follow me. God will love you. This is the Quran speaking. You follow the Quran, then God will love you. Say, you love God, you follow the words of God, not the words of men. So, I don't know where you get the impression that Paul is always from Muhammad. Because it is not. And very clearly so. The majority of Pauls meaning say. Paul means say. The majority of Pauls in the Quran are not from the Prophet Muhammad. There are also many things in the Quran that are in the future, not to the Prophet Muhammad. And some of them are clearly stated in the future tense. So the Quran is valid for all times. Okay, shall we move on to Surah 73? Please. Kathryn.
Surah 73, cloaked. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. O you cloaked one, meditate during the night, except rarely, half of it or a little less or a little more, and read the Quran from cover to cover. We will give you a heavy message. The meditation at night is more effective and more righteous. You have a lot of time during the day for other matters. You shall commemorate the name of your Lord to come ever closer and closer to him. Lord of the East and the West, there is no other God beside him. You should choose him as your advocate, and remain steadfast in the face of their utterances, and disregard them in a nice manner. And let me deal with the rejectors who have been generously blessed. Just give them a little time. We have severe punishments and hell, food that can hardly be swallowed, and painful retribution. The day will come when the earth and the mountains will quake, and the mountains will turn into a weightless pile. We have sent to you a messenger just as we sent to Pharaoh a messenger. Pharaoh disobeyed the messenger, and consequently we punished him severely. If you disbelieve, how can you evade a day so terrible that it makes the infants gray-haired? The heaven will shatter therefrom. His promise is true. This is a reminder. Whoever wills, let him choose the path to his Lord. Your Lord knows that you meditate during 2/3 of the night, or half of it, or 1/3 of it, and so do some of those who believed with you. God has designed the night and the day, and he knows that you cannot always do this. He has pardoned you. Instead, you shall read what you can of the Quran. He knows that some of you may be ill, others may be traveling in pursuit of God's provisions, and others may be striving in the cause of God. You shall read what you can of it, and observe the content prayers, give the obligatory charity, and lend God a loan of righteousness. Whatever good you send ahead on behalf of your souls, you will find it in God far better and generously rewarded. And implore God for forgiveness. God is forgiver, most merciful. The name of the surah, cloaked. A cloak or a cover can be a protection for us against weather, inclement weather, for instance, or it can be a barrier or a veil, something that blinds us or deafens us. And keeping that in mind, looking at verses 1 through 7, the night was designed for our rest. There are no distractions during the night for most of us, certainly not during like there are during the day when the world seems to wake up and pick up speed and get itself up to 300 miles an hour before the sun sets. This is a special time with Allah for us. It is a time when our own bodies and our own minds are winding down, and there's a space and a peace about our lives.
Children will talk with each other, separated from each other.
It's reading. She's just reading aloud.
Separate from her book.
Yeah.
Take the book away. Excuse me.
And God is telling us that here that any time that we spend reading the Quran and meditating is for our own good here. God doesn't need for us to do this. God is in no need at all. And he's giving us an opportunity, guiding us to take advantage of an opportunity during our busy days in our lives to spend time with him. In verse 8, the reason for the guide, the hint, the provision of day for work and night for rest, for example, is God consciousness is at 24 hours a day is our goal. Commemorating the name of our God 24 hours a day, every minute, so that every cell in our body, every thought in our mind is preceded by Allah. Alhamdulillah, subhanallah, every chance we get. Out loud, no matter where we are. What I have found to be amazing about that is when that became a habit of mine, and I'm not quite sure when that was. Sometimes someone will ask me what I'm saying, but I can't tell you how rare that is. Very few people ask me what it is I'm saying. Very few people are interested. I write Bismillah on my checks, all of them. On a lot of the things that I can remember God 24 hours a day, no matter what we do, no matter when we do it. Verse 9, you should choose him as advocate. There is no other God beside him. No one and no thing does anything. And if we don't know that, then we do not know God. If we do not know that God is doing everything, and therefore logically and rationally, the only one to call upon for any help, for any provision, for any understanding, for any guidance, for any relief is God alone, we've gone astray somewhere. And we may never get back if we don't strive to understand that God does everything. Not to be confused with, the khutbah about putting your finger in the fire. And I heard that khutbah, and I went back to 2 years ago in 1987. I happened to be away, and I asked Rashad to please tape the khutbah that time, and he happened to give it. It is a marvelous khutbah, but it is there that I first heard Rashad talk about putting your finger in the fire and how the fire was created for us to be in our service. And we could use it to cook, I think the phrase was a delicious raw steak to a fine meal, or we could put our finger in it and burn ourselves. God created both, all, the fire, the food, and our nerve system. But it was our free will that would determine how we used it and what path, if we can use that as a metaphor, we would then choose to be on. We have to know that God is doing everything. We have to know that if we need anything, asking anyone for anything, whatever comes to us from anyone, bad, good, or indifferent, comes from God, and it's for our own good. They're reminders, they're tests, they're provisions, whatever it is. A comment you don't want to hear, a criticism you don't want to hear, comes from God. God is correcting you, asking you to think, maybe not to correct yourself based on the criticism you heard, but to rethink what it is you're doing, to remind you that God is doing everything. Verse 10, remain steadfast in the face of their utterances and disregard them in a nice manner. God is saying if we know that God is doing everything, we're not to falter in that belief ever, no matter what we hear, but we're also not to judge others. We have no way of knowing who's going to make it and who's not. We don't know that something we say is going to be the turning point for someone else down the road. And we need to be consistently steadfast with our beliefs, but we're consistently admonished as to how to treat other people. We're not to judge them. We are not to treat them nastily. We are not to force them. We are not to be angry. And again, I go back 2 years ago to that khutbah, which was amazing, because Rashad stood here and he said, and I'm talking to you, and he named every one of us sitting here, including himself, and said, if we get angry at anybody for anything, we're challenging God, we're objecting to God. It's so simple now. I can't tell you how often I reread that. Riding down the road the other day with my son, who just has his license, someone cut him, you know how people drive in Tucson, someone just cut right in front of him with inches to spare, and he yelled at them in our car. He yelled at them. Stupid, was very angry, gripping the wheel, trying to maintain control. And I said, God did that. You shouldn't be yelling at that person. Well, that person was stupid, and we've been working on this now for 2 days, that incident. He said, now we've got him coming around to say, well, I wasn't really objecting to God, I was just blowing off steam, and said you were objecting to God. And you need to think about that when you get angry. And this is true about the people that we meet who reject what we have to say. today or reject how we choose to live our lives based on what God has told us. We're not to aggress against them with our minds, with suspicion, with words, with behavior. We're to remain steadfast with our own beliefs. Do you have a question here? Yeah?
Why did they hit you on? I mean, why would I'm just supposed. No, you have to go ahead of that, find out what provoked this person against you. You have to find out what you did to provoke that person against you. But you're starting in the middle of the story, see? Somebody can pass me in the face, right? This is the middle of the story, already the end of it. So we have to... Huh? But you see, the fist fight is up from something. What is it? You're not supposed to get in the fist fight to start with. Yeah. Okay, if somebody punches me in the face, I will not get angry at that person. I will get angry at myself for provoking him. I will ask, how did this happen? Find out, what did I do to make him so angry? You know, sin in Islam is if you annoy anybody, if you hurt anybody, you've committed a sin. So obviously you made that person so, you hurt him somehow, that he came and punched you in the face. You committed a sin and you paid for it. So you should be objecting. You should not be objecting to what happened. You understand? Yes, it's good for both parties, but okay, how will he aggravate you and annoy you? He'd say, I don't like you because you're Iranian, for example, let's say. Okay, let's say somebody says, I don't like you because you're a Khomeini man. So if somebody says, I don't like you because you're a Khomeini man, then you know that he's a stupid person. He's passing judgment on you. It would be like you're walking in the street and a dog barks at you. What will you do? No, it isn't. You just don't pay attention to that person. You don't get into a fight because of that.
But you also mentioned aggression against your family and protection of yourself and your family. That's a different issue. You have the right, and God tells us we do, to protect ourselves and our family. We do not have the right to aggress first. We have the right to protect ourselves.
Yeah, Surah 42 says you stand up for your rights. No, it's better not to get to that stage where he swings at you. I would ignore them. It takes more strength. It takes more strength to not to be provoked. I'm thinking slowly because Sammy got in a situation like this, and if I were in Sammy's place, I'm flunking at this. I would have punched the guy in the face, but he was stronger than. He did the right thing. I forget what was it. In Buffalo the other day, somebody was insulting him or something. No, that's an older. I don't remember the specifics, but controlling yourself is a lot. I would ignore those people. You should not get in any fist fights or anything like that. Just ignore them. It takes more strength to restrain yourself than to be provoked into a fist fight or any of those silly things. You'll be a bigger man if you walk away and ignore them. Yes. Yes. The Quran says you have the right to stand up for your right. If he punches you in the face and you punch him back, this is your right. But God tells you it is better and you'll be stronger if you can restrain yourself. Yes, of course. Yeah. Self-defense is always justified. Yeah. Yes.
I grew up in a highly aggressive environment. And my parents...
You've been a tough neighborhood?
A tough neighborhood. And my parents told me that fighting is wrong. But a lot of kids I went to school with, that was their way of life. I remember when the first time, maybe not the first, but I got into a fight, one of the kids wanted to jump on me and hit me. I was trying to explain to him that this wasn't really what children do. Before I completed the sentence, I was down on the concrete. So I went back to my parents and said, it doesn't work the way you said it. That you got to do both. And I think the same thing holds true in any kind of aggression. Sometimes people will do things to you, you just simply have to defend yourself and your integrity as a human being in the name of Allah. Some people out here do like to intimidate others physically and other.
You understand it takes more strength to really resist getting drawn into a fight. I mean,
if you just let it go, sometimes you think it's the right thing to do, but if you think you'll win,
Right.
everybody starts beating on you. I think sometimes that was that fight to show them that you can do it if you want to.
That's your ego.
signed by a brand. Okay, now I want to tell you, if you are with God, nothing will happen to you. You're going to be a winner. When you are a person of God, you'll be a winner all the time. Don't worry.
It's like we're given this
Robert.
position of power, but it's sometimes, like you said, it's harder to be patient because it's a natural thing. I grew up in an environment completely opposite of it. I mean, I grew up with 3 older brothers, and there was no fighting. I mean, that was natural. That was an everyday thing. We fought all the time. So I mean, it was a natural thing. And if you walk by and he looks at you wrong, and then you take a shot. It was just a natural reaction. That was harder to, I don't know, some things that
Maybe Kathryn.
you don't, I would talk, wait a second now, why did that wouldn't be it?
I
That wouldn't come to my
think maybe
mind.
Kathryn should have used the word sadness or disappointment rather than anger, because you don't become sad and depressed. That's objection. Happiness is devotion to God. Happiness is submission to God. The opposite of that is objection. If you are sad, you're objecting to what God is doing. So maybe anger is not the correct word. Yes, exactly. Yes. Kadhimin al-ghayb, suppressors of anger. One of the characteristics of a believer is suppressor of anger. It's thus you understand life. When you read the Quran and you read God's message, you understand what life is all about, and you know that it is not worth it to get in a fist fight or be angry because of what somebody said, especially that if it is something stupid. You definitely have to defend yourself. If you can avoid, if you can forgive and forget, to be much stronger. Back to Kathryn. We can finish
And we'll
this.
move on.
Can I make a comment also on the first few verses? Excuse me, I'll take it back. 2 more minutes. I want you to understand what the night is. The Quranic night begins at sunset. So when it says meditate during the night, except really half of it or a little less, you're commemorating God when you pray the sunset, when you pray the night, when you mention the name of God before you sleep, when you get up for the dawn prayer, you already covered half the night right there. Because the night begins at 7 o'clock at sunset right now, for example. You pray the night at 9 o'clock, You get up at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock for the dawn prayer, 5 o'clock. So from 9 to 5, you already covered a good portion of the night. The Quranic night, the Torah night, and all the scriptures. Night begins at sunset. And the day begins at sunrise. So it's roughly 12 hours of the night. What this is telling you is you must never miss the dawn prayer, the Fajr prayer. I'm always surprised when I visit many places and find that half the people, or more than half, are not doing the dawn prayer. You're not being fair to yourself. You see, we were swept in the crowd when we were in the heavenly society. You don't want to be swept in the crowd again here. You don't want to repeat the same mistake. The people are so oblivious to God that when we do a little bit, we think we're doing a lot. Because compared to them, if you do one prayer a day, you're doing a lot. But don't be swept in the crowd, and don't measure what you're doing by what is happening in the world. Because the world is just totally oblivious to God. And this makes you think that you've stepped up and you're doing a lot. That will be my khutbah next week. But don't be swept in the crowd, inshallah, next week, inshallah. Yes. Idol worship. Yes, anything is forgivable. Murder is forgivable. Stealing, lying, cheating, all these things are forgivable. But idol worship is not. If the person dies as an idol worshiper. Yes, you can clean your record any minute by repenting. Repentance cleans your slate completely, as if you're a newborn baby. Yes. No, to you, to Master Schultz. Yeah? Again, that's a famous mistake, yes, but it is really, oh, you, Master Schultz, meditate during the night except really. when you're covered up with your blanket, you're cloaked. Yes.
Yeah, but he just explained that that's what he did. That is what Pakistan Muhammad prayer, extra prayer.
And Fajr prayer. You've come a long way towards that. But I would recommend reading the Quran every night and every Fajr. No, but you're covering that period. You see, the prayer is not just the time that you're doing the prayer. The times of anticipation is also a commemoration of God. You look at the clock and you say, you're going to pray the night in 10 minutes. Right. Absolutely, yes. Just this is why the 5 prayers are so important. Because it's not just a few minutes. It's not just a few minutes that you do. Okay, back to verse 20. Kathryn.
Verse 20?
Excuse me, go ahead. Whatever you are.
Got to verse 20? Verse 11. Let me deal with the rejectors who've been generously blessed. Just give them a little time. We have severe punishments in hell, food that can hardly be swallowed. It's give them enough rope and they'll hang themselves is what comes to mind. They will either pass, or the rejectors will either pass or fail the test that God gives them, knowing that God gives them as many chances to pass as he gives every other person. God knows who will pass and who will not. He is the perfect designer. We need to worry for our own selves. And this is related to the verse 10 and how to treat other people. Let God take care of those who reject the message. On 14, the day will come when the earth and the mountains will quake and the mountains will turn into a weightless pile. There are other mentions on descriptions of the day of resurrection, of the day of judgment, when the earth will change its appearance. The earth and mountains are perceived by our senses to be the most solid of all things. And so this is a really good metaphor. If one thinks about just the one sentence that God is telling us what's going to happen, the inside of the earth is molten lava. There's nothing solid at all about it. Recently I've had an illness too, which has made the solid earth, the solid world that we touch, smell, feel each day of our lives, it's distorted that and erased the illusion of this world. And it's been quite an interesting experience because you feel free floating. And that's the only way I can think of to describe it. It can be frightening at the same time. I imagine it's something like what the astronauts feel in space, only that's planned and there is some way to connect to something. I think...
Maybe the soul is growing too fast.
I hope so. I desperately hope so. In any case, not so you'd notice. In any case, this is a really good metaphor for what will happen. And for the reminder that this earth is an illusion, this life is temporary play, and it's all set up just because God is so merciful as to give us another chance when we blew it the first time, and we did blow it the first time. There was no maybe about it. We sent you a messenger, we sent Pharaoh a messenger, you disobeyed, we punished him severely. If you disbelieve, how do you expect to evade a day so terrible it makes the infants gray-haired? I don't know the name of the illness, but there is a rare illness, and I think Rabbi Kushner's son had this illness. I just don't know the medical name for it, where children age, infants age and die of old age when they are still young children. It's a very rare illness. I don't know if it existed when the Quran was revealed. However, this is also a good metaphor for how our lives are going to appear to us on the day of resurrection as if we lived 1 hour, 1 minute.
But this is isn't this even in English they say you scared me, my hair turned white.
Right, absolutely.
Yes.
That happens.
What happened?
Did you hear?
It's just I think it's just a
How
proverb.
fast? The reality is that this happens, but it's also a metaphor for the brevity of our life. The heaven will shatter therefrom, his promise is true. The guarantee, it's always there, it's built in. This is a reminder, whoever wills, let him choose the path to his Lord. The human being has complete freedom. This is the human affliction, and it's the human blessing and the hope of redemption. If we choose Allah alone, God will be with us always. If we don't, and the tendency of the human being is not to. The tendency is to worship ourselves. That's the last bastion. When we think we've dealt with money, children, wealth, status, power, fame, we get back to ourselves. So it's a constant balancing act. If you choose Allah alone, as narrow as the path may seem, you won't fall from it. And again, I remember someone saying to me, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. This is my second time around. And it will be shame on me if I don't get it right this time. Verse 20. Your Lord knows that you meditate 2/3 of the night or half of it. He knows that you cannot always do this. And he has pardoned you. God made us. He knows what our limitations are. He knows we have to sleep sometime. And that we can't stay up all of the night long reading Quran and meditating all nights for all of our lives. And so mercifully provides for us and says, you shall read what you can. And allows for illness and allows for traveling and allows for the vicissitudes of this life. Constantly reminding us that we need to be cognizant of God 24 hours a day. There's a verse here, part of the verse, you shall read what you can of it and observe the contact prayer. The way the contact prayer is spoken of in Quran is, it's spoken of as though everyone who reads knows of it, because everyone does. By the time the Quran was was revealed, Salat was a common practice, albeit wrong, a common practice. And this is why we don't find a description of Salat by detail in Quran. Give the obligatory charity and lend God a loan of righteousness. Whatever goods you send ahead on behalf of your soul, you will find it in God far better and generously rewarded. This is the PRA that Rashad talked about. And it's a wonderful reality-based, simple way to understand what it is we do. Post-retirement accounts. We get 10 for 1 here, folks. Guaranteed. 10 for 1. We don't have to do much for that. A loan of righteousness. God alone. And our souls do grow, and they do expand, and we even have no idea how big they are. When Rashad gives us numbers like $10 parking tickets because you don't say Bismillah the first thing in the morning, that's real. That's not a joke. I mean, we laugh because it relates to all of us, and we've all been caught one way or the other. But it's the truth. Again, 24-hour God consciousness being the goal, and righteousness and living according to the Quran's instructions. God willing, we won't have too many parking tickets. And implore God for forgiveness. God is forgiver and most merciful. Every day, 5 times a day, we say that God hears those who call upon Him. There's no condition in that statement. There is no condition. If you call upon Him when you're wearing a blue dress and it's 5 minutes after noon, there's no condition. God hears those who call upon Him alone. That's unconditional. This is the most merciful God who is always there for us. All we have to do is turn around. I need to stop. Is there any...
God bless you. Good. Excellent job. MashaAllah. Marshall, what do you...
Of all times when you're on vacation, you have nothing else to do and to construe that verse into, when I'm traveling on vacation, I only have to say
my soul doesn't eat.
They do the point on
This has to do with missing the Fajr prayer once in a long while. God says you cannot do it all the time. Maybe once a month you'll miss Fajr. But really, this is a minimum, the 5 prayers, including the dawn prayer. It is very important for you to do the dawn prayer. You must set the alarm and get up. Right now, you must do it before 5:15 in the morning. There are many dropouts because the day gets longer and longer, and you don't want to be a dropout. 5:15, before 5:15. This means you're tired, you're very tired, and you cannot, you didn't get up for the Fajr prayer because you're tired. You're doing extra effort. Yes, you're traveling or your time is mixed up. You travel from New York, you leave there at 12 midnight, and you come here and the dawn is 2 o'clock New York time. So that's 2 hours of sleep. Most probably you will miss Fajr on that day. No, it's saying business. You're doing your business. You may be tired because of business, because of something you have done. You're digging ditches all day, and until 3 o'clock in the morning. Chances are you're going to sleep through the Fajr that night. Traveling in pursuit of God's provisions meaning business. You're doing business.
I think we have to stop. Our teacher next week will be Dr. Sabahi, so we can see what the Farsi translation is saying. Starting at, you can sit by your dad, Amir, and give him a few pieces of information. Okay. Dr. Sabahi will take Surah 74, 75, 76. So keep your new translation, don't forget it. We have to read a lot of Al-Fatiha for birthdays today. Lydia, Annie, Douglas. Who's the fourth one?
Lydia.
Huh? Amir. See, I forgot Amir. How can I forget Amir? Well, Amir is the most important person in this room. We have to. Why? You tell us why. How can I forget Amir? Okay. Amir and Hani and Douglas and Lydia, we're going to recite Al-Fatiha to give him a great year coming up and a greater year every year after that. It is a characteristic of the believers that things only get better. Things get better for the believers. Every day is better than the previous one. Also, when I recite Al-Fatiha, Mahvash may be going to Iran soon, and we wish her success. And God will give her a good trip, inshallah. God never turns us down when we read Al-Fatiha. And Kathryn mentioned the illness that makes her high.
It's true.
So we want to plead with God, say, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ, worship you alone, and ask Him to make her healthy. And each one of you, your dearest wish, we want you to ask God for it also. God loves it when you pray to Him. And before we read Al-Fatiha, I want to remind you that I just finished the appendix entitled Virginity. And it begins by saying the sons and daughters of the believers are taught persistently and for their own happiness that they must keep themselves for their spouses, the people who will be married to them. So I'm urging all the parents to take a copy of that. It's only one page. Take it and show it to your children. Because it may be an embarrassing subject to you, but it is a very important subject. And it is never too early, never too late. So ask for that page and take it and read it with your children. And now for all Al-Fatiha that we requested, we're going to turn to God and recite Al-Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Malik Yawm al-Din. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'een. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim. Ghayr al-maghdubi alayhim wa lad-dallin. Before we close, I want to remind you of just a couple of verses in Surah 54 that says God is the one who makes you happy, controls your happiness or miserable. God doesn't make you miserable. We make ourselves miserable. But God controls our happiness and our misery. In Arabic, وَأَنَّهُ وَأَضْحَكَ وَأَبْكَى. He makes you laugh or cry. وَأَنَّهُ وَأَغْنَى وَأَقْنَى. He's the one who controls your wealth. He's the one who makes you rich or poor. So you remember that. God is the one who controls your happiness and joy. And God is the one who controls your wealth. Which means if you follow God's law, you're guaranteed perfect life, perfect happiness. Congratulations. God bless you.